All right, again, hello everyone. I'm Frank Bosi. I am the Director of Business Development here at Hostfully. And today we're joined by my colleague Mitch, who's the Manager of Partnerships and Integrations. And today we're joined by Stayfi's CEO and founder, Arthur Kolker. So welcome, Arthur. Thank you for taking the time. We're really excited to discuss our newest integration with Stayfi today, as well as certain ways that property managers and owners can really scale up their business simply by increasing their direct bookings. Personally, during my demos and my meetings, we've had a lot of interest and questions coming from our customers and our prospects in the property management space, asking how they can use our software to increase direct bookings and communication with their guests, as well as when we will be integrating with Stayfi. So needless to say, we're really excited to share and present some of the learnings that we've gotten from Arthur at Stayfi and with our partnership in regards to your direct booking strategy in 2023. A quick little recap before we get started. Today, we're going to be really focusing on developing your Book Direct brand and your website. We're going to learn how to get started with email marketing, what you need to know, how to really drive more direct bookings, but also setting up this kind of set it and forget it email marketing automation that really drives those bookings to increase your direct bookings. And then lastly, upgrading your marketing with text and social media. Before we jump into the discussion, and we'll have Arthur take it off in a moment, I just wanted to let you know a little bit more about Hostfully for those of you that are not familiar. So we are a vacation rental property management software, that's a mouthful, that helps you run your business from tip to tail. We essentially strive to help vacation rental companies and property managers make more money, increase revenue, streamline and automate their day-to-day operations, while also improving the overall traveler experience. Now, Hostfully has two platforms. These are both completely standalone platforms. You have the property management platform, and then you also have the digital guidebook. They're both fully integrated, so you're of course more than welcome to use both of them together, but you also have the option to use just the property management software or just the digital guidebook. On the property management platform side, we have direct integrations with major OTAs, Airbnb being one of them, Vrbo, Booking.com, as well as additional channels in niche markets. We have a great pipeline feature, which is really cool and unique to the industry as well. And here you can see all of your guests and exactly where they are in the process of their booking and basically manage operations in different ways with different software. We have a really nice out-of-the-box direct booking website available to all of our users, which is complimentary and it's included in your package. And especially in this day and age, we want as many direct bookings as possible and not to become so heavily reliant on those other channels. Also included in our software is our automated messaging, both email and text messages. We have reports, analytics, payment processors. We have our wonderful new unified inbox and a whole lot more to help you run your vacation rental business. And then aside from the property management platform, as many of you also know, we have our digital guidebook platform. So this is very unique and beautiful platform where we focus on enhancing the guest experience. We make it easy to share important information to your guest about their trip, like their check-in details, directions, house manual information. Again, this aims in boosting the guest experience. It cuts down on communication, and it also has the ability to get you more 5-star reviews and repeat guests. You also have a great upselling feature to increase your overall income. So really quickly, the property management platform, we've also been winning awards. Super excited. It's been great. We won the Matt Landau's VRMB Keystone Award the first year they had it as the best vacation rental software. And then we won again the year after that as the best property management software to grow with, specifically making us back-to-back winners and focusing on the features and capabilities that we can assist with your growth. And then just recently, we won the Shorty's 2022 award as the best property management software. One of the main evaluators, Terry White, said that Hostfully is one of the best softwares, period, I have ever seen. So that was a really great review to get from Terry. Over to Guidebooks. Same thing on the guidebook side. We're winning awards. Erica is a great client of ours, and she basically had the same view as many of our other clients. Here she said that the guidebook totally blew her away. We saved her a ton of time, and also the guidebook is more professional than your everyday Word document or PDF. So if you haven't tested out our guidebooks yet, we have free trials for all of our subscriptions, and also one free guidebook for everyone who wants to just try it out, kick the tires, and test it out. Not only do we have an incredible platform and a beautiful digital guidebook, but we also have great learning opportunities and resources with our reports and our webinars. We have a variety of reports available on our website, which I encourage you to check out at your leisure. It's hostfully.com/2022 report, and it has a good selection of reports, future booking reports, multi-channel distribution reports, as well as other reports that have great insight, which can be useful for your business. So again, I encourage you to check those out directly on our website. We have a ton of content really to offer you there, along with blog posts and articles. If you do want any additional information on any of our products, please feel free to reach out to me directly, and I can schedule a demo with you, either with me or someone on our team. We're always happy to coordinate and schedule one-on-one demos with you. But that's enough about Hostfully. So I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Arthur with Stayfi. So Arthur, we're super excited to have you as an official partner and integration, finally. I know it's been a long time, so we're really excited to share some of the learnings that we've gotten from Stayfi in our partnership during today's webinar. So feel free to take it from here.
Awesome. Thanks, Frank. And very excited to share both our Hostfully integration, how it works, and then some basic approaches you can take to start automating your book direct strategy so that you know you're set up for success in this new year with your independent brand. So the next slide here. Yeah, so a little background about Stayfi and what our mission is as a company. We were founded in 2018 to help short-term rental operators achieve listing site independence. And what that means is while we believe that the major OTAs like Airbnb and Vrbo will always be an important part of the ecosystem, we don't think any short-term rental operator should be dependent on those platforms for their demand. So we want to help our customers diversify where they are acquiring guests. And obviously, number one place is to your own brand or book direct with your own company. So how can we help our customers elevate their brand, keep in touch with their guests, and have them come back again and again to book directly? And the main way we do that is through a guest data collection tool, and that's through your Wi-Fi. So we're using the system that we know every guest is interacting with during the course of their stay to collect valuable information, not just from the booker, but the entire guest party. So with Stayfi, every single guest has to log into your Wi-Fi through a branded splash page, which of course is also advertising your brand and who you are as a business, to collect that information from everyone staying there. And then we have our own email marketing, text marketing, and other tools that you can use to market to all of those guests, as well as integrating with a ton of third-party email marketing tools like MailChimp, Constant Contact, etc. And now with our Hostfully integration, we're going to be able to even provide more data to market to. So we can not only take data from the Wi-Fi, but also data in your Hostfully platform and help unlock the value of that guest information in one marketing tool. And then finally, because we're also a Wi-Fi tool, we have a lot of cool features around occupancy alerting, outage alerting, monitoring Wi-Fi in all your rental properties. And we're going to spend less time on that today, but just FYI, obviously we're going to help our operators in that area of their business as well. Just to give a little more background, we work with companies of all sizes. So you may think that you need to be at a very mature stage before you can really ramp up your direct booking strategy. But we see people with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 listings develop a dedicated customer base that continues to come back and book them again and again. And some of the advantages for smaller folks is they may have more of that family business look and feel of personal guest attention. And that can really help create a community of loyal guests who want to come back to your listing multiple times a year, if not at least once a year. And then, of course, we work with some of the largest short term rental operators in the US and around the world, like Front Desk or Cabins for You, who are approaching 400 or 500 plus listings, who really also find our Wi-Fi management tools very valuable, because you can imagine managing properties over huge areas or in multiple cities. You want more intel on what's happening on the ground. And we'll work also in any country. So all of our rental operators use equipment for Wi-Fi from a company called Ubiquity that we as
Mhm.
Stayfi sell. But this equipment is available all over the world and is actually very commonly professionally installed in short-term rentals and small hotels or motels. So if you have Ubiquity equipment, you can use Stayfi, or if you operate outside of the US, you can acquire those devices there, and then we can help you set it up. So you can come to us from anywhere in the world, and we'll help you find the right equipment or purchase the right equipment to use a tool like Stayfi.
Awesome. And it says here that you service all sizes and countries. We did have a question if Stayfi is available in Italy.
Yep. So
Yep.
Ubiquity has a European store. So if you reach out to us, which we'll explain later, we'll send you a link with what you would buy in Europe and schedule a call with us to set up your account. And then we just go through the process of adding the devices to your Stayfi account, and then you can use it in Italy or any other country in Europe.
Awesome.
And results from Stayfi, you may be wondering, what's possible when I start collecting and marketing to guests? We kind of meet people where they are, whether they're at 0% today or 70, 80% today. And we find people in all those different scenarios. So one example is Cozy, which came to Stayfi at 0%. And now after 2 years with Stayfi, they're over 25 to 30% direct, mostly from repeat guests. So that just shows you the real value of how this guest data compounds over time. Because you can imagine, once you have lists of tens or even 100,000 plus guests, in a case like Cozy, that becomes a very valuable asset that you can go back to again and again to drive those high quality repeat direct bookings. And then we also work with people like Jennifer in Ontario, Canada, who had a very niche cabin business in Ontario and had a very loyal customer base, and has used Stayfi to go completely direct during her peak season. So she doesn't even list on OTAs anymore from
That's really impressive. Yeah.
yeah. So
Well done, Jennifer.
yes. So yeah. But
Yeah, and even just Arthur, to touch on that, we have with the polls, is what percentage of bookings are direct? A majority of people, 90% of people on this call is 0 to 25,
yep.
where 7% is 26 to 50, and then 76% to 100. There's only 3% of people on this call. So the need to have Stayfi or just practices in general to kind of get more direct bookings is definitely needed. So that's awesome. And those are some impressive numbers as well.
Yeah. I find that the people that are at that 70, 80+% direct booking stage are folks who have been operating short-term rentals since before Airbnb and VRBO existed. And in many ways, that was an advantage to them because they had to operate more in this person-to-person game before those large online platforms existed. And so that's just been a way that they've been doing business for a long time. And so, we're really helping folks kind of get back to those roots of knowing who your guests are and developing that real list of loyal clientele.
It's wonderful.
So now just kind of going over the agenda, and there's a lot of material here. So, I think we'll be sending this out after if there's anything else you need to review. And we're going to go over a lot of email marketing details. And it's really designed, this presentation, for people that haven't done email marketing before. And I'll do my best to keep it as simple as possible. There's just going to be a lot of information around how to get started and how to start structuring campaigns. First, I'll dive into the Hostfully integration because there's some new and interesting things that integration brings to the table. Then very briefly cover booking sites and kind of how to approach developing a direct booking site and how Hostfully can help you there. And then finally, email marketing, lots of content there. And then finally, measuring email marketing performance. I actually added this recently just because I see a lot of people are doing email marketing but have no clue how to start measuring how or whether it's working, and just wanted to show kind of the basics of how to get started with that. Hostfully's integration with Stayfi, really three areas that I'm going to cover. One, importing linking properties. This is very basic. Just when you create a Stayfi account, you can connect to Hostfully and then import properties into Stayfi so that they stay linked. And that way, if any property details change in Hostfully, they are reflected in Stayfi. And this also enables the dynamic occupancy alerting and helps you set up your account faster. Then syncing Hostfully guest data into Stayfi. You can imagine, we're collecting all the guest data from the Wi-Fi, but you also want to bring in any real emails you have collected in Hostfully into an email marketing tool. This allows you to import all that data into Stayfi continuously, so you have one true source or CRM of all your guest data to market to. And then finally, the dynamic occupancy alerting, which I'll cover, which is a cool extra feature here. I'll just show these. This is very high level, but this is what the Stayfi customer portal looks like. And when you link to your Hostfully account in your property section, there's this new orange button that allows you to link or add properties. And so what happens when you click on this is you'll see a list of all your properties from Hostfully, and then you can assign them to property groups within Stayfi. In Stayfi, we have this concept of a property group, which is typically a building or an area. And when you link properties, you have to assign them to a property group within Stayfi. And so when you click it, you'll see a list of all your Hostfully properties, and you can just decide which Stayfi property group they should belong in, and we'll pull in all the relevant information. So it will make setting up Stayfi even faster for you.
Yeah, that's great. I'm actually learning some stuff now on how we integrate. So there's a new integration. So we're really excited about it.
Yep. And then this is a view into Stayfi's email marketing tool. Our email marketing tool is built on Campaign Monitor. Campaign Monitor is a widely used email marketing tool similar to a MailChimp or Constant Contact. And through Stayfi, you just have access to a discounted Campaign Monitor account with some extra short-term rental features that we built on top of it. So you can think of it as a cool hybrid of Campaign Monitor plus some extra short-term rental features we're building into the platform all the time. And when you sync Hostfully guest data into Stayfi, like I mentioned, it will pull in all the real emails you've ever collected. So we look through your Hostfully guest data and we'll screen out those Airbnb garbage emails and all the other fake OTA emails, and we'll suck in any real emails into the email marketing tool. And we'll also pull in a bunch of other data like their last booking, their next booking, the source they came from, what property they booked. So you'll have more contextual information in the email marketing tool. And then within our email marketing tool, you'll have two lists now once you connect to Hostfully. One is called PMS guests, one's called Wi-Fi guests. PMS guests are any real emails we're collecting from Hostfully, and it's real time. So it's not just historical guest data, but anytime you get a new booking, it will add their email and information here. And then Wi-Fi guests are all those other individuals who stay in the property where we collect their information. So if you have a booking come through, we'll collect the booker's email, maybe add that to PMS guests. Then they arrive and they have 10 people. We'll collect the other 9 and add it to Wi-Fi guests. So now you have all 10 people in your email marketing list here. And when you send campaigns in here, you can select multiple lists. So it's very easy to send a campaign to both lists. But the reason why they're separate lists is all around automations. So you can imagine when you receive or someone signs into the Wi-Fi, you would trigger them one email automation. And if you receive a booker, a booking months out, you probably don't want to trigger them the same automation as somebody who's in the home. So having them as two separate lists makes it really easy to set up different types of automations for these different types of guests. And all that information will be updated live. So anytime you have someone log into Wi-Fi or anytime a real email appears in Hostfully, we'll pull the information into here so you have an easy way to market to your whole universe of guests.
That's very impressive. And then number 3.
Yeah, this is pretty straightforward, but with Stayfi, we're always counting the number of unique guests on your Wi-Fi at any time. So it's not just devices. We're actually looking at who's logging in, and then we're counting who's or how many people are in the property. With this, we connect to your current Hostfully reservation and see how many people that reservation is for. So even if the house sleeps 10, if you have a reservation for 6, if suddenly we see 10 unique people on the Wi-Fi, we will trigger someone on your team an alert, and that alert will even list out all the devices and the names of the guests who are currently on the Wi-Fi, and you can go into connected devices within Stayfi to see the names and devices of all those guests. And that way you have a real-time alerting whether, if there's ever too many folks in the property at any time, and actually base it on the reservation that's currently booked there.
That's great. Ooh, my apologies.
Now we're going to kind of move into the next section that we covered. Now that we covered the kind of integration piece, and the next piece is kind of how people get started with direct booking. And I'm sure many of you, I noticed most folks here are like in the 1 to 20 property range. And that's usually people who are in the first or second stage of this little flow here. So we find most short-term rental managers or property managers, when they get started out, they list primarily on OTAs. They don't really focus on direct booking because they don't have an audience yet. They're not going to spend a lot on their brand while they're just getting started. We find most people, as they make the foray into starting to get direct bookings, is they'll just use the direct booking site that's part of their PMS. And lucky for you guys, Hostfully has a great direct booking website that you can start using right out of the box. That's white labeled. Will do everything you need to be connected to your prices and calendar and all those things. And that's a great place to get started. We find that those websites work really well for repeat guests. Again, it's going to be harder to find, people on Google, Googling your brand and booking through there. It's always going to be a little more of an uphill climb than people who are obviously already familiar with your brand or have stayed with you before. So those websites work fantastic, especially to get those repeat guest bookings. We find kind of as people reach a higher level of maturity, they may think they need a more robust website, one that has a blog, multiple pages, different sections, different booking flows, maybe featuring the property management side of your business for homeowners, not just for guests. So there's more complexity. And that's where we find people turn to one of these agencies to build them a website that's integrated with Hostfully. And there's a section in Hostfully where you can see all their kind of website creative partners. These are 3 of them that we find a lot of our customers work with: Boostly, Hudson, and ICND. All of them build great integrated websites that pull in all that information and then can provide all that extra, SEO information and web forms and everything else you would need to build a great website. So we see people, migrate to these at a certain point where they're really ready to set up their direct booking game and start driving traffic from Google and other places to book their properties. Yep. And now we're going to talk about like how to get started with email. And it looked like I saw in here how many people use email marketing. 82% said no. So you definitely come to the right place. So this is going to be some technical information that you would want to know when you get started with email marketing. And this will apply whether you use our email marketing tool within Stayfi or a great third-party tool like MailChimp, which a lot of our customers use as well. And you can integrate Stayfi with those third-party tools as well. So if you love MailChimp or ActiveCampaign, more than welcome to integrate Stayfi with those tools and use the email tool you're comfortable with. The first thing you want to do when you set up an email account is authenticate your domain, which sounds very complicated or technical, but we actually send instructions when you create an account on how exactly to do this. And basically this proves that you own the domain you're sending from. You could imagine it would be chaos if I could send emails from google.com or Facebook and just send emails and pretend that I'm those businesses. This is how you prove that you own your domain and are the authorized sender from MailChimp or another tool. And so we tell you how to go into GoDaddy or wherever you purchased your domain to prove to the email marketing tool that you are in fact the owner of this domain. And you definitely have to set this up, or else your emails are just not going to be delivered. They're going to go to the spam folder and you're going to run into all sorts of problems. The second thing is warming up your sending domain. You can imagine another thing what, email kind of inbox companies like Gmail or Yahoo that you use. They want to protect you from spam. And one thing that looks very suspicious is when a domain that's never sent emails before suddenly sends an email to 100,000 people. That's very suspicious. It looks like you purchased a list. You don't have authorization or consent to send the emails. And so you need to start email marketing to a smaller contained list that's going to get high open rates and high click rates. And we see people make the mistake of, they have a list of emails that's 10,000 people from the last 10 years, and they just upload it and send a newsletter out to those people. The folks who gave you their email 5, 6, 7 years ago, they're not going to remember who you are. They're going to mark your email as junk or spam. So you definitely want to start with a smaller list. It's helpful to create like a friends and family list of people that will open and click your emails, just so that you prove that you're a reputable sender, and that way your emails don't get sent to junk or spam. So you want to warm up your domain, start with less than 3,000 people for your first campaign. And then if you have a list that's larger than 3,000, start with the core group, and then you can integrate in older emails over time once your domain has a good reputation. Use a good tool that's pretty straightforward, ton out there, including the one within Stayfi. Something just to touch on here is talking about the difference between transactional and promotional emails. Transactional emails are ones you don't need consent from the person to send them the email. For instance, I made a purchase on a website. I'm going to get a receipt, right? It's not a marketing email. Someone makes a booking. Hostfully will then send that person a message or an email. And Hostfully has great transactional email tools. And so most of the time, the types of messages you send from Stayfi are promotional emails, and the ones you're sending from Hostfully are transactional. There's very little overlap between the two. There is, we can talk about later when we go through some specific flows of where you have the option to send it from either tool. I particularly love Hostfully sending tools. So if you have things set up there, kind of keep those as they are. And you can really think of Stayfi as those incremental emails to reach the non-booking guests, as well as everybody post-stay with newsletters or automations. And then finally, have some plan to measure your results. And I'll talk about at the end about how Google Analytics can help with that. But just have an idea of, if I start investing in email, how am I going to measure ROI? Or else you'll see sending emails and not really sure whether they're working or not, which can be a little frustrating. I touched on this earlier. We have an email marketing tool in Stayfi called Campaign Monitor. It's cheaper than MailChimp, cheaper than Campaign Monitor if you go there directly, so you get a nice discount because we have such high volume. We actually built it with an agency called Switchback. So you'd be wondering who's Switchback and why are they here? They're an email marketing agency that provides additional services if you need help or want to hire somebody to do email marketing for you. So within our email marketing tool, there's a page of Switchback services where you can hire them to set up a template, to set up your email account, to manage your campaigns on an ongoing basis. So just providing those extra options if you don't want to do it yourself and want to hire an expert. They have both one-time and ongoing services you can purchase through Stayfi. So we really want to make sure we have an option for every type of customer out there, whether they want to do it all themselves or hire a professional to do it for them. And if you just want to use Stayfi for email marketing, that's definitely possible. You don't have to use our Wi-Fi tools. So as a Hostfully customer, you could connect or create a Stayfi account, connect to Hostfully, pull in all your Hostfully data, and just start marketing to that. And you may or may not want to add the Wi-Fi features in the future. So if you just want a discounted email marketing account, you can sign up and just use that for the Hostfully data you already have.
Hey, Arthur, speaking of that Hostfully data, with someone asked a pretty good question on with when you connect your PMS, say with Hostfully, does it pull in all the guest info from previous stays?
Yep. So it will, any real email you have in Hostfully, it will pull in all that data, screening out all the fake Airbnb emails, and then it will continually update with new data that you're collecting through Hostfully. And you actually have the option to pick all time if you only want to go back a year. So there's a few options around, if you only want to go back 2 or 3 years, you can pull in the most recent data or all the data you have. Moving on to email collection. We touched upon this, but there's really 3 places we find customers are collecting guest data. 2 I talked about pretty extensively. One is obviously Hostfully. The second is from Stayfi Wi-Fi tools. So that's going to be all the guests staying in the property logging through a splash page like this one from Beachcomber. The final one is on your website. This is a great way to collect information from people who are interested in booking with you, have found you online, and now you can collect their information. Often the best thing to do is provide something in value in return, like a guidebook. And I'll explain how to set up one of these forms within Stayfi's campaign monitor tool, but you can also do it with MailChimp. And that way, if you are investing in things like Facebook ads, Google ads, where you're paying to drive traffic to your website, it's going to increase the ROI of those tools, because even if someone doesn't make a booking after they click to your website, they may give you their email. And that way you can continue the conversation with that prospective guest through email marketing, even if they didn't book after clicking one of your ads. Now, here's a little bit more information on types of emails to send. So we're going to start really diving to the meat and potatoes of email marketing. Kind of 2 main groups of email marketing that you can set up within Stayfi. One are automation campaigns. You can think of this as automated emails that get sent to everybody based on some trigger. Some common triggers would be signing up through the Wi-Fi, so we know the guest is in the property, and you may want to send property-specific information as well as information about booking that home again. Newsletter sign up, so they sign up on your website. Now you actually have to fulfill that promise of a coupon code or an area guide. And then other triggers like rebooking the property some certain months after they stayed there, or booking, on somebody's birth date if you collect birth date through Stayfi, which is an option. So all of these you can think of, there's some activity the guest did to submit their email, and now we're going to trigger one or a series of emails to automatically market to them. The second category is one-off campaigns. This would be those traditional email marketing newsletters. This we typically recommend people to add on after automations. So we think it's most important to set up automations first, because it guarantees that every email you collect will receive some content from you over some period of time. Well, we typically see what happens if people don't do that is they have the intention of sending newsletters every month, then something comes up and they don't send it. And then suddenly you have emails from people that you've never sent them anything for 3, 4, 5 months. The automation just puts in that guarantee that every email you collect will receive content, is aware of your brand, knows who you are, so that when you do have time to send additional content, they open it and are engaged with it because they remember your company and your business. Some types of things we see that have a lot of success through one-off campaigns are obviously limited time offers, discounts during your shoulder or slower season. Local events are a big one. If there are events that are driving travel to your destination, those are really important to highlight, especially if you work in somewhere seasonal, like a winter destination, ski destination. Maybe things are happening in the summer that your ski kind of guests aren't aware of, and maybe you can try to market to those people to come back at a different time. Other attractions that are driving folks to your destination, whether it's amusement parks or local venues, music, all those types of things. And then finally, a really valuable one is new properties or markets that you launch. I think guests love to see, there's a new home. Typically I book this property every summer, but now I have a new property that I can market to. And also, if, as you should, add homeowners to your marketing campaigns. This is a great audience to add in as well and upload. They want to see their properties marketed. So if you're sending out these campaigns, make sure to upload your homeowner list into Stayfi as well, so that they can see the great job you're doing on behalf of them to market their properties.
Yeah, and just to touch on the rebook special or reminder, we see this a lot with our users specifically, that they will set an automatic email to be sent out, for example, 3 months after checkout. On Hostfully, you're able to create discount codes. So in the body of your email, you can put in the discount code for that specific percentage off. But what's also a really cool tip that a lot of our users do is they'll, in the body of the email or on the template, they'll put their direct booking site. This way, everything is front and center. You'll have the direct booking site, you'll have the discount code, Stayfi will control all the automation, and it's kind of just a domino effect from there. Every single one of your guests moving forward, 3 months later, will receive an email from you saying, you know, we miss you, we'd love to welcome you back. Here's my direct booking site, here's a discount code, and you'll just start seeing an increase that way as well. And like you said in the beginning, kind of a set it and forget it strategy.
Now we're going to look at a case study so you can see kind of what does this look like in real life. Like, it sounds great theoretically, but what do these emails look like? How are they set up? So we're going to talk about JUNIPER, and I picked them because they're smaller to mid-size luxury homes in Michigan. So not at the 100 home scale, but a little larger than 2-3, but someone who's growing quickly. So definitely an aspirational property manager who's looking to grow their business. They have a Squarespace website built on top of their PMS booking site. So it would be like as if you have the Hostfully booking engine, and then on top of it, you have another website. And every time you click a property to book, it takes you into the Hostfully engine, but you actually have a different website where you're dealing with all the other content. That's kind of an intermediary approach between just using Hostfully or hiring an agency. So you can see people approach this from all different angles. And then finally, they came to us and our agency partner Switchback to develop their email marketing strategy. Here is kind of a visualization of what I talked about before in terms of campaign types. They're collecting emails at the 3 areas I discussed, from the web form on their website, so through Squarespace in this case, from their PMS and Stayfi. And every time they collect an email from these 3 different categories, they're sending an automation. So when they get somebody who signed up through Squarespace, they send them one welcome email with information. When they collect a booker through their PMS, they're sending them on a journey of booking information that's handled in the PMS. So in this case, you can imagine someone books, you're handling all that communication through Hostfully, pre-booking, day before arrival, even some post-arrival messaging, but then finally they're being transitioned to a monthly newsletter. So all of that automation is handled through Hostfully. And then finally, when someone logs into the Wi-Fi, we're finally getting that data from the other individuals staying in the property. They'll get a Wi-Fi welcome email and then get put also into this monthly newsletter campaign. So you can see here the evolution of collection, automation, and then sending a monthly newsletter on top of that to every single person that are coming from these 3 different collection points. How to set up a web form. There's lots of different ways to do this, depending on what your website's running on. Is it WordPress? Is it just Hostfully? So I can't cover all the different options here, but this is just an example of since we're Campaign Monitor, right, and their website is Squarespace, there's a Zapier integration that handles a Squarespace form submission into Campaign Monitor. So that's how they happen to handle it here. We can help you through our support, depending on how your website's built, how to set this up, a form on your website, but there's lots of different ways to do this. Also, if you have access to the code of your website, like you can edit the header and the footer of your website, whether it's WordPress or Hostfully, you can build a pop-up form within Campaign Monitor through Stayfi, where you insert some code into the header of your website, and that will cause a email collection pop-up to appear on your site. So definitely achievable. It just depends a little bit more on how your current website is built, and that's something that we can help with so that you can make sure you start capturing data on your website and have a list to add them to within Stayfi.
That's great. And then a question, just for me personally, Hostfully integrates directly with Zapier. So if you're a Hostfully user and you're integrated with Stayfi, this kind of setup would work for you, for that property.
Yeah, so you can zap things from Hostfully into your Stayfi Campaign Monitor account if it's like a web form. will handle all the guest data, so you don't need to do it for that.
Understood.
Now, what's being sent? This is interesting because people coming through this web form could be a guest, but they could also be a prospective homeowner. So the automation we're triggering from Stayfi after someone submits is covering both rental management and booking. So you can see here, there's just a general photo of a home. Thanks for getting in touch. But you can see here, they lead with their commitment. So their brand promise is kind of the first section, which is helpful for both guests and prospective homeowners. Then they have a section on neighborhood. So this is really more for prospective guests to take a look at all the homes. But then finally, you can see here, there's a piece on rental management. Because we don't quite know who the audience is, and it could be both types of individuals, the email is going to cover both rental management and booking a property, which is super important to keep in mind that depending on where you collect the data, you might be speaking to a different audience. And you can see here, they have 37 of these sent in the last 30 days. So that's pretty decent in terms of web traffic and collection. You're always going to get less data through a web form than through the other methods I mentioned, unless if you have a huge amount of traffic to your website, on the bigger side. Stayfi Wi-Fi. So just to give you a little more information on like what do these splash pages look like, here's just kind of an example of how you set one up within Stayfi. So you can see here on the right, that's what our splash page builder looks like. And you can create these different splash pages for different properties even. So you can have a unique splash page for each home that welcomes the guest to that specific property with the image of that home. The experience is very similar to what you would have done at an airport or a hotel or Starbucks, where you join the guest Wi-Fi network. In this case, they use the same guest Wi-Fi network name in every home. So it makes it really easy to give instructions to guests. Join Juniper Holiday Home guest. They join that. They get the splash page specific for that home. They log in and they're good for 30 days. So that's kind of what the experience of the guest looks like when they have their information collected through the Wi-Fi. And we also validate that the email is real. So we use a tool called Zero Bounce, which we pay for, that checks that the person submitted a real email. So if someone enters garbage on this page, it won't actually let them on the Wi-Fi. They have to enter in a valid email to proceed onto the internet. And just some background on how you set Stayfi up. I mentioned before, we sell this Ubiquiti Unify equipment. When you purchase a device from us, it plugs into the router in your home, and you can actually leave the home's existing Wi-Fi running. We call it the homeowner network. So you can leave that running in the background. You don't have to disturb homeowner smart devices or change what the TV is connected to. You just change the instructions you give to guests. So obviously, you no longer want to give them the old Wi-Fi. You just give them this new guest network name, and that's what's going to provide the unique splash page for each property. And you can, of course, also see the status of the Wi-Fi in each property and get alerted if it ever goes offline. So that way you also have visibility into the network in each property and that it's working properly so that guests never arrive with no Wi-Fi available. And that way we make it really easy to set it up if you're a property manager, because you don't have to mess with homeowner stuff. You just layer on this new guest network that's the same in all your homes for people to connect to. Can you go to the next slide, Frank?
Sorry, I was talking. I didn't realize I was on mute. We've been getting a few questions about how many devices you could have in a unit or in a home, but we'll review all of that, I think, towards the end of the demo. This way we can kind of just keep on the flow.
Yep.
There's a lot of questions coming in, guys. Thank you so much.
I see a lot of questions, yeah.
Yeah. And Oliver Marksinski, he's the head of business development. He's been doing a good job along with Mitch answering the questions, but I don't think everyone can see it. So we'll just review some of the hot ones.
Yeah, so Oliver from my team is going to help answer questions. Then we can go over more at the end. So don't worry, we'll get to them.
Yeah.
Yep. And then so once someone logs into the Wi-Fi, like what do they receive? This is where you can get really custom or keep it pretty generic, it's totally up to you. It's totally possible to set up an email unique by property, so everybody receives a different email after logging into the Wi-Fi. Here, it's just the same Wi-Fi for everybody to keep it simple. So on the left here, you can see like what does this email look like. It includes some information about the brand, includes information how to contact us, as well as additional services they offer. So this is really where if you do offer value add services that you're upselling to guests, whether it's how to extend the stay, you have local partners, you offer, late checkout, whatever it is. This is definitely where you want to feature those because, well, you may have told the booker about that, or maybe you have it in your Hostfully guidebook about the property and you sent that to the booker. This way you can advertise those services and options to everybody in the property, which you can imagine the booker may not be even the decision maker often, right? So we want to make sure we get this information in front of everybody. And then, of course, already dreaming about your next vacation, people are in property. They might be, they know they want to book another trip this summer, or they definitely want to come back next year, whatever it happens to be. We want to give them the opportunity to book again directly with you. On the right here is just kind of what it looks like within the automation builder within Stayfi. It's really simple. Subscriber enters the Wi-Fi welcome segment. So they subscribe to Wi-Fi or enter their email through Wi-Fi. Then this email gets sent. You can actually see here, there's a little plus. They added a wait 5 days. So they're actually waiting 5 days and sending another email. So you can make these automations as long as you want. You can send an email in 5 days and then another in 10 and then another in 30. So you can actually keep sending. Here, just as an example, they use this little fork. And this says, hey, did this person open this email? If they didn't open it, I'm going to send them another email the next day. Or you can send them one in quick succession. Well, if they did open it, I'll wait a little longer. So you can use that to, let's say you have 100 people on your list, 50 open the email. You want to double down on the 50 that did it. You could send them another email the next day, and maybe you'll get 10 or 20 more opens. So you have this ability to segment the list by whether people are opening or not, and to send a little more or little additional emails to those people that aren't engaging with the first one. And then finally, covered all the automations, with a lot of information, and then everybody will start receiving the monthly newsletter. And this is where you can really start featuring those specific properties, as well as kind of additional management services as well, because this company hasn't gone the extra step to have a different newsletter for owners and guests, kind of one size fits all for prospective owners and guests at this point, although in the future that might change. So here again, doubling down on the brand promise of their commitment, some local events that are happening. I know they have this blog called the JUNIPER Journal, and then featuring 4 key properties here. You can imagine, maybe there's homeowners that you want to highlight to them that you're marketing their properties in your email list, right? So they're featuring those here. And then finally, they offer this additional concierge service. So explaining how to use that, try to push people to purchase those services also ahead of arriving. And then finally, again, explore all their neighborhoods, which I think is a slightly different page, which has all the different locations within Michigan. So here's just a really well-constructed newsletter and how you can make one that has a great template all through our tool. This particular one was designed by Switchback, and Switchback offers through Stayfi a service where they make a generic template for your brand, which has all of these sections and more that you can then use to do your own emails. So if you're kind of in that middle phase of, I want to do email myself, but I need help with design, Switchback offers a service where they can design the template or base template, and then you can iterate on it each month and create the content yourself. So that's definitely a possibility if you want one that has this level of professional finesse with all the branding and leaves integrated in here.
Yeah, someone asked a question if you provide sample templates for automation, or is that something they build from scratch?
We have,
go for
it. There are a lot of sample templates within the tool, which you can then just switch the logo to your brand and change obviously the images to be your company. So I'd say those are basic. They work really well. If you want those kind of like extra details, then you can hire a third-party agency, right? So
Yeah.
finally, Google Analytics. Hopefully, you may have seen if you have a website, you may have looked at your Google Analytics before. But this is really kind of where things can get interesting, but also complicated, right? So when you have a website, especially if you're in that third tier of Boostly, ICND, Hudson, like you're starting to build your own custom website, you want to make sure it has something called e-commerce tracking installed with your Google Analytics, because that will help you attribute bookings back to the source or what caused those bookings in the first place. And you can see here, there's kind of on the top here, source medium. These are where kind of last click attribution. So someone clicked a Google ad, clicked an email, clicked the search through Google, or just typed in your URL, which are the 4 categories are here, and made a booking during that session. So you can see here on the right, the revenue attributed directly to email, Google ads, which are about the same. And you can imagine Google ads, they're paying a lot more per booking than they are with email, right? Since email, once you're collecting it to send more emails, is marginally low cost or pretty much free once you set up the tools. Google is going to be a lot more expensive per click. And then Google, which is generally brand awareness, people are searching for your brand. One thing that's not captured when you do direct attribution is, maybe they saw your email every month and then Googled your name, right? And if you hadn't sent the emails, they would have never Googled your name. So last click is really important, but it's not going to tell the full story of why they ended up booking with you or how did they end up coming to your website. On the bottom left here, you can see kind of that story plays out. So this shows, it's called a booking path. So how that individual came or interacted with your website multiple times before finally doing a booking. So if you go down here, you can see a number 7. They clicked on your email 4 times, came to your website another time, clicked on an email, came to your website, clicked on a Google ad, came to your website, clicked on a Google ad, and then after a certain number of additional sessions booked, you can see number 6 is they interact with email, and then they came directly to your website, right? So you can see, even if you might be a little disappointed that, hey, I only got 7 bookings directly from email in the first section, you'll actually find that a lot, several more additional bookings came because you sent email. And if you hadn't had been doing emails, they wouldn't have Googled your name or come directly. And there's probably even some additional spillover we can't capture here because people use incognito windows, it's cross-browser, and it doesn't track super well, right? So you can, Google Analytics is great. It's never going to capture the whole picture, but it can give you that 80% sense of, what emails are working and how much revenue they're generating, if at all. And then a little more detail of how much of that organic and direct booking you probably would not have generated if you hadn't been doing emails as well. So emails plays a role in the whole booking journey, which we know is not just going to be one click and then they book typically.
Yeah, you can get lost in this. It's a wealth of information. This is awesome.
Finally, just a little info, like if you want to sign up for Stayfi after this because you think it's so great, we have a promo code here which will give you 50% off the first 3 months of the subscription. So you just use Hostfully 50 when you sign up at Stayfi. I was talking about Switchback earlier, so just to give you a sense of if you want to purchase additional email services from them, for $249, they'll give you an hour training. So you get an hour sit down with Ryan Kelly or someone from their team who will walk you through everything you need to know about email in that hour, help you start developing a template. They only work with short-term rental companies, so they've seen it all. And then for $9.99, they actually build you one of those templates like I showed you before. So like the JUNIPER template, they actually build the custom branded template that you can use again and again. They'll help you do Google Analytics. They'll set that up for you. They'll set up an automated Wi-Fi welcome email. They'll give you the hour training and make sure you migrate all your data in correctly. So these are just 2 options where if you don't want to pay for somebody to do email for you on an ongoing basis, these 2 onboarding services can really help you get jump started successfully with doing email marketing with professionals.
That's awesome. I mean, thank you so much, Arthur. We went the entire hour, which is great. Really, a lot of great takeaways. Thank you so much. For those of you that are listening, we're just overwhelmed with the wealth of information you've just received. Don't you worry. We're going to be sending out an email after this webinar with a link to the recording. We were going to have some time, or we thought we were going to have some time for some questions, but Oliver and Mitch have been crushing it with answering those. Specifically, is there anything you wanted to kind of touch on, Arthur, in the next 4 minutes we have?
Oliver, is there any questions that you want me to go? Maybe, I don't know, can Oliver join us and see if there's any questions you think I should cover that you are seeing come up a lot?
Yeah, let me see.
Or you can just write it in the chat, Oliver, too.
Yeah, true.
Hey, guys.
There he is.
That's me answering questions in the background here. So I saw a lot of questions mostly about, what actually makes Stayfi work. So just to clarify, there is that device, the access point, that will plug into the router at your property. And that's broadcasting a brand new Wi-Fi network that you tell guests to log into, and that has that splash page when they first sign in. So it is a physical device, plugs into the router. You usually only need one of those devices per property, but if you're currently using like a mesh network for a bigger property, you might need multiple there. So we can definitely talk about what devices work best if you shoot us an email at support@stayfi.com. But yeah, that's the biggest thing I've seen come up. I don't think there were too many other questions that we didn't address here, but tons of questions.
I'll just cover the costs for Stayfi quickly. So typically you purchase the devices from us. They range from like $100 to $200. We have two main models we sell. One, a light, which is good for like up to 4 or 5 bedrooms, and then a long range, really like 5 to 7 bedrooms. But we also have some square footage guide, because it's, you can have a ginormous 4-bedroom or a smaller 6-bedroom, right? So those are the two main devices that we sell. And then if somebody wants to purchase a lot of equipment, we do have a financing partner. So if you want to purchase $20,000 of equipment because you have a lot of properties, you can get financing to pay for that equipment over 12 to 18 months. And then in terms of the subscription, it depends on how many access points you have. So we charge a monthly subscription price per access point, which starts at $10 for one. It goes down pretty quickly. Once you have 2, it goes to $8.50. If you have 100, it's $5.50. There's tons of tiers in the middle there. But stayfi.com/pricing has all the different pricing levels depending on how many access points you have in your system. The email marketing charge is separate, and that's based on how many contacts you have. So like I mentioned before, we're providing a discounted Campaign Monitor account. So it's just like going to Campaign Monitor and signing up and getting like a 10-20% discount by doing it through Stayfi. And then we charge a monthly cost. So it starts at $15 and then goes up just depending on how many contacts you have in your email database. We only charge, key difference between like MailChimp is we only charge for subscribers. So people unsubscribe, we no longer count them towards your subscriber count. And you can, of course, delete if someone doesn't open your emails for, after 10 times, you can also delete them. So it helps you manage to keep that subscriber count to who your audience is that you want to market to.
Fantastic. And again, if anyone has any additional questions or wants some more information about Hostfully or Stayfi, we're going to be sending a follow-up email. In that email, we'll be sure to put in my email as well as Oliver and Arthur's. This way, if you're interested in a demo or in a meeting, you can email us directly. If you want to kind of just get to it already, my email is frank@hostfully.com. Shoot me an email and I can just introduce you to Arthur and Oliver directly. So again, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Oliver. Thank you, Arthur, for being awesome and great partners. We're really excited for this integration. And again, thank you for everyone who joined and for being so active. You made this so much
many
easier.
Questions.
I know. We'll get those answered. We'll get those communicated, and just have a great rest of your week. And we look forward to hearing back from you. Thank you again, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.